It will interest us to know that in the book of Acts chapter 1 verse 8, when God was talking about the revival that the apostles were supposed to steward, he did not only insist that revival must be stewarded, but he also prescribed to them the pathway of the flow of the revival, that in order for God to be glorified, it must begin in Jerusalem. You know, we have always thought that revival is chaotic and is explosive, and it's difficult to take inventory of a move of God. Jesus said it must begin at Jerusalem. It showed us how the river was supposed to flow from Jerusalem. It will go to Judea. Don't take it anywhere else. There was a very rigid prescription that was given on how the flow of the river should be. If you are in the military and you're about to engage in a war, there is a security briefing that must take place. That's where you ask all your questions. And the generals will come and bring perspective. The moment that meeting ends and it's wartime, there's no question for it. So this is the security briefing meeting. They say, you will receive power when the Holy Spirit comes upon you, and you'll be witnesses unto me. Not witnesses for me, but unto me. It's not talking about evangelism. It's talking about a situation where Jesus is in court and he needs witnesses to support his case. Now your life is going to be the evidence that will provide witness about Jesus. Our generation doesn't believe that the claims of Jesus are valid. So an accurate functionary that is adequately galvanized by the grace of God will need to come upon the scene to legitimize the claims of Jesus. And he says, you will need to receive power to do this. Meanwhile, if I was in this security briefing, are you still with me? Please stay with me, stay with me. If I was in this meeting, I would have called the attention of Jesus. So the fact that it would have been easier for us to exploit other territories, not Jerusalem. Let us start from Samaria. There is no strong philosophy in Samaria. We can infiltrate them, can colonize them. But who makes converts of Jews? No one. Their religion is too old. And meanwhile, the Jew claims that God appeared to them in a group. But the Christian claims that God appeared to him in his quiet time. So when you bring your encounter from your bedroom, the Jew will not accept it, because the encounters they had, their ancestors were encountered in a group. Are you with me? So, it says you need to confront Jerusalem. I would have asked Jesus. Because this particular scenario I read from the book of Luke chapter 4 was in Galilee. If you still have a rough sketch of the map of Israel in your head, I know you do. I need to show you that Israel had an international part and a national part. It had a liberal part and it had a traditional nucleus. Now, because of the topography of Israel, the left foot of the map is full of Baltic rock. So if you are coming from Africa, the only route you have to navigate is towards the abode of Zabulon and Naphtali. That's Galilee. Galilee is the international side. That's where idolatry comes from. That's where they smuggle in necromancy and wizardry and witchcraft. It comes from the international side. But Jerusalem is in the traditional national side that holds the key to culture and custom. You can't come there with a new philosophy and claim to hold the ground. Jesus said, The only way the Father will be pleased is when this move is stewarded from Jerusalem, Judea. You will discover that Jesus, the fans he had were Galileans. It was not the Galileans that opted for his death. Forever they will fight so that he will be spared. But you see, it was the Judeans that crucified him. And that was the same place Jesus is saying that you will need to start from. So if I happen to be in this apostolic briefing meeting, I would have raised my hand. We will win, because these days, the place to pitch and to cite a ministry is a place that lends itself to ease. A place where you can exploit the fault lines and establish yourself. But Jesus did not give them that option. He said, everything will begin at Jerusalem. And the spiritual capital he was making available to actualize that intent was what? Power. Power. That's the resource. Power. Power is the basis of the universal advertisement, generational advertisement of the truth of the gospel. So at any point in time when we are deficient in this utensil, it will be difficult to create a spectacle that will attract a philosophical age like ours.